The galaxy was full of wonders, ancient planets, lost civilizations, and mysterious ruins. But among all the secrets of the stars, one warning appeared again and again. Every dead civilization, no matter how advanced, had left the same final message: Earth is guarding something worse. The Galactic Council ignored it for centuries. Humans were strong, yes, but they were not the most powerful species. Their weapons were advanced, but not unbeatable. Their technology was good, but not the best. So what could they possibly be guarding? The mystery grew deeper when explorers found the same message on over 100 abandoned worlds. Some planets were reduced to ashes. Others were frozen in time, as if something had stopped reality itself. And every time, the same warning was carved into stone, written in fading holograms, or whispered by the last survivors before they vanished. Curiosity turned into fear. The Council had to find answers. A mission to Earth. A team of elite investigators was sent to Earth. They were chosen from the best minds in the galaxy: scientists, spies, and warriors. Their mission was simple: discover the truth. They arrived on Earth, expecting to see something unusual. Instead, they found a peaceful planet. Humans were laughing, building, exploring, living. There were no giant weapons, no hidden war machines, no dangerous experiments. But something was strange. There was a place on Earth that humans refused to go near. An entire region, hidden deep underground, was completely off-limits. Satellites couldn't scan it. Drones sent inside never came back. When the team asked humans about it, they always got the same answer: that place is not for us. Stay away. The warning only made them more curious. They had to see it for themselves. The forbidden zone. The investigators entered the underground site. As they went deeper, the air felt heavier. The walls were covered in symbols from long-lost alien civilizations, even ones that never had contact with Earth. Then they heard it. A voice. Not human. Not machine. Something speaking in a language that sent chills down their spines. It was ancient. Older than their oldest records. It whispered, "You should not have come." One of the scientists screamed and collapsed. His eyes turned black, his body frozen in terror. The others dragged him back, but then the walls started to shift. Shadows moved in ways that shadows shouldn't. Shapes twisted and stretched, defying the laws of reality. The air became thick with something wrong, something that did not belong in this universe. Then they saw it was not a creature. It was not a machine. It was not even a living thing. It was a presence, something that existed outside time and space. It had no form, yet it was there. And it watched them. A single whisper filled the chamber, but this time it spoke their language. "You have woken me up." The Guardians appear before they could react. Humans arrived. Armed soldiers, scientists, and figures in black uniforms rushed in, sealing the chamber behind them. "You idiots!" one of them shouted. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" The investigators were confused. "What is that thing?" one of them asked. The human commander's face was pale. "It is why we exist," he said. "We are not the danger. We are the guards." The presence pushed against the seals, warping the air around it. Reality itself bent and cracked. The humans activated strange devices, filling the room with light and energy. "You need to leave." "Now," the commander ordered. The investigators didn't argue. They ran. The final warning back on their ship, they tried to explain what they had seen, but the words failed them. It was impossible to describe something that shouldn't exist. Something that shouldn't be awake. The Galactic Council demanded answers. The lead investigator, still shaking, could only say one thing: stay away from Earth. The Council declared Earth a forbidden zone. No ships were to approach. No investigations would be allowed. The last message of every dead civilization finally made sense. Humans were not protecting themselves. They were protecting the entire universe from something much, much worse. And now, it was waking up. The Galactic Council had sent their best team to Earth, but so far, they had found nothing unusual. Humans were living normal lives, working, celebrating, exploring their own solar system. There were no superweapons, no hidden armies, no signs of danger. Everything seemed ordinary, but then they noticed something strange. There was a place on Earth that no one talked about. A forbidden place. The lead investigator, Commander Ralvek, observed humans carefully. Every planet had its secrets, but this was different. There was one region where humans refused to go. Satellites could not scan it. Maps simply skipped over it. Even when the team asked humans about it, some acted as if the place did not exist. Some looked scared and whispered, "Stay away." A few simply said, "We do not go there." Not even our leaders. It made no sense. "Every planet has secrets," said Dr. Vena, the team's scientist. "But when the entire species fears one place, that is not normal." They had to investigate. Entering the unknown, the team approached the forbidden zone under the cover of night. Their ship landed miles away, hidden from human eyes. As they moved closer, the air itself felt different. It was heavier, thicker, as if something unseen was pressing down on them. The scanners on their suits flickered, unable to process what was around them. And then they saw the barrier. It was not made of metal or stone. It was a field of energy, shifting and flickering like a dying flame. The technology was unknown, far older than anything humans should have. Commander Ralvek hesitated. "This is not human-made." Dr. Vena touched the scanner on her wrist. "It's not alien either. It's something else." They had no choice. They stepped through. The descent into darkness. The moment they crossed the barrier, the world changed. The sky above them was gone, replaced by a dark, swirling void. The ground was no longer solid, but something that moved beneath their feet, like liquid trapped in time. The ruins of ancient civilizations surrounded them. Some were familiar structures from species that had vanished long ago. But others were completely unknown. "How is this possible?" one of the team members whispered. Then they heard it. A whisper, faint, cold. Not in their language, yet perfectly understood. "You should not have come." Something is watching. The team froze. Their lights flickered. The ground rippled, as if something beneath them had woken up. Commander Ralvek grabbed his weapon. "We are not alone." A shadow moved between the ruins. No footsteps. No sound. Just a presence, watching, waiting. Then came the second whisper, closer this time. "Turn back." One of the scientists collapsed, his eyes wide with terror. His breathing turned shallow, his body frozen. It was as if his mind had seen something too horrible to process. "We need to leave," Dr. Vena shouted. But the path behind them was gone. The warning they should have listened to. Panic spread through the team. Their technology failed one by one. Scanners went dark. Weapons refused to activate. Even their suits felt heavy, like they were sinking into the ground. Then, from the darkness, figures began to emerge. Not creatures. Not machines. Something else. Their forms were shifting, never fully solid, like the space around them was trying to decide what they were. The whispers grew louder. "You should not have come." Commander Ralvek tried to move, but his body felt trapped in invisible chains. Dr. Vena's voice trembled. "This isn't a place. It's a prison." And then the final whisper came. "Now we are awake." The ruins shook, the air cracked, and the last thing they heard before losing consciousness was the sound of something breaking free. Darkness surrounded them. Commander Ralvek struggled to breathe. His body felt like it was floating in a vast emptiness. There was no ground, no walls, only an endless void. The last thing he remembered was the whispers, the shadows, and the feeling of something waking up. Now he was alone. Or so he thought. Lost in the void, a faint glow appeared in the distance. It flickered like a dying flame. Ralvek forced himself to move toward it, but with each step, the space around him shifted. The ruins he had seen earlier were now changing, twisting into shapes he could not recognize. Some looked like cities from forgotten worlds, others like monstrous beings frozen in time. A voice echoed, "You do not belong here." Ralvek turned sharply. The voice was deep, ancient, and emotionless. It did not come from any one direction. It was as if it existed inside his mind. Then he saw them. The guardians of the prison figures emerged from the darkness tall, formless beings with eyes that burned like dying stars. They moved without sound, without shape, shifting like smoke. One of them stepped forward. It spoke without a mouth. This place is not for the living. Ralvek's voice was dry. What is this place? The being tilted its head, as if considering his question. A graveyard. A warning. A door. Ralvek's heart pounded. He didn't like the last word. A door to what? The air grew colder. The other beings surrounded him, their eyes dimming. Something worse. The horrifying truth of vision struck Ralvek's mind like a lightning bolt. He saw entire civilizations crumbling, their people screaming in terror as an unseen force consumed them. Worlds turned to dust. Stars flickered and died. And in the center of it all was Earth. Not as a victim. As the lock. Ralvek gasped, falling to his knees. The vision faded, but the horrible truth remained. Humans were not guarding a weapon, not hiding a secret technology. They were standing on top of something that should never wake up. A desperate Ralvek staggered to his feet. "We have to leave," he whispered. "We have to warn the council." The guardians did not move. One of them spoke. "You cannot leave." Ralvek reached for his communicator, but it was gone. His team. He turned, searching for them, and suddenly the darkness cracked. A blinding light split through the void, and a familiar voice shouted his name. Dr. Vena. She was standing in a breach in the darkness, reaching for him. "Come on!" Ralvek didn't hesitate. He ran. The guardians watched, but did not follow. As he reached the breach, the last thing he heard was their final warning. "You were not meant to see this. If you speak of it, you will not be the only ones who hear." Back to reality or not, Ralvek stumbled out of the ruins. The air was fresh again, the sky normal. The world looked the same, but he was not the same. Dr. Vena and the rest of the team were there, shaken but alive. "You saw it too, didn't you?" she whispered. Ralvek met her eyes. He didn't need to answer. They both knew the truth. Earth was not just another planet. It was a prison. A lock holding back something so terrible that every dead civilization had left the same message. Do not open the door. Ralvek looked toward the sky. Had something already woken up? Ralvek could still hear the whispers. Even though he was back on his ship, away from the ruins, away from the void, something was wrong. The cold warning of the Guardians echoed in his mind. Earth is guarding something worse. He sat in the briefing room with his team. The lights were bright, the walls clean, but Ralvek still felt like he was trapped in darkness. Dr. Vena looked pale. She had seen what he had seen. She had felt it too. N01 spoke. The silence was heavy, until finally Lieutenant Soren broke it. "What did we find down there?" he asked. His voice was hoarse, uncertain. Ralvek looked at Vena. She sighed. "Not what? Who?" This was buried deep in the ruins. She tapped the screen. A hologram flickered to life, showing ancient symbols, unreadable at first. Then the translation started. Log 1, the first warning we were wrong. Earth is not an ordinary world. It is not a home for weak beings. It is something else. Something ancient. Something dangerous. The room fell silent again. Vena tapped the screen. The next log played. Log 2, the last stand. We tried to warn the others. We sent messages across the stars. But it was too late. They didn't listen. Now they are gone. Ralvek clenched his fists. Gone? Who is gone? Vena didn't answer. Instead, she played the final log. Log 3, the final truth. If you are hearing this, turn back. Leave Earth alone. Do not wake what sleeps beneath. We failed. Do not repeat our mistake. If you open the door, you will not be able to close it. The message ended. N01 spoke. Then Soren whispered, They weren't talking about humans, were they? A secret beneath Earth. Ralvek took a deep breath. We assumed Earth was special because of humans. Because they survived. Because they thrived. But what if that's not why? Vena looked uneasy. You're saying the real reason Earth is different isn't because of the humans? Ralvek nodded. What if something is underneath Earth? The room felt colder. Soren frowned. But Earth is old. The humans have been there for thousands of years. If something was buried, wouldn't they have found it? Vena shook her head. Maybe not. Maybe. It doesn't want to be found. Ralvek felt a shiver down his spine. The ruins. The whispers. The warning. Something worse. A disturbing pattern. Vena pulled up another screen. Look at this. The hologram showed a map of the galaxy. Red marks appeared on several planets. All of these worlds had advanced civilizations. All of them disappeared. And all of them had one thing in common. Ralvek leaned forward. What? Vena zoomed in. The red marks connected. They were all looking for something, she said. Ralvek's breath caught. They were looking for the thing buried beneath Earth. A race against Timur. Ralvek stood up. His mind raced. We need to inform the Galactic Council, he said. This isn't just about Earth anymore. If every lost civilization was wiped out because of this, then we are next. Vena hesitated. But what if the Council already knows? What if they're keeping it a secret? Ralvek clenched his jaw. It was possible. Too many civilizations had vanished. Too many warnings had been ignored. The real question wasn't what was under Earth. The real question was, had it already started waking up? Ralvek's heart pounded as he stared at the screen. The message from the lost civilizations had been clear. Do not wake what sleeps beneath Earth. But it was too late. The Galactic Council had received their report. Instead of sending help, they had gone silent. No response. No orders. Just silence. Ralvek knew what that meant. They already knew. The Council's secret. We can't just wait, Soren said, pacing the room. The Council won't help us. If they already knew about this, then they have a reason to hide it. Dr. Vena sat still, her fingers tapping nervously on the table. Maybe they were hoping no one would ever dig too deep. Maybe they thought it would never wake up. Ralvek clenched his fists. But we woke it up, didn't we? Silence. Vena slowly nodded. Something changed. Maybe it was us. Maybe it was already waking, and we just arrived at the wrong time. Soren slammed his fist on the table. Then we don't have time to wait. We need to warn the others. Ralvek exhaled slowly. If the Council isn't stopping it, then either they can't, or they don't want to. A desperate Ralvek moved to the ship's main console. He started typing. Vena frowned. What are you doing? Ralvek's fingers didn't stop. I'm sending a message to every ship, every station, every colony. Soren's eyes widened. That's illegal. The Council doesn't matter anymore, Ralvek interrupted. If we don't act now, there won't be a Council left to stop us. He pressed send. The message went out across the galaxy. URGENTBROADCAST, Earth is not what we thought. Every dead civilization tried to warn us. The thing beneath Earth is waking up. If we do nothing, we will be next. The first response for a moment, nothing happened. Then the alarm blared. Soren jumped up. Incoming transmission. The screen flickered. A face appeared. An old, scarred man in a council uniform. High Commander Orvis. His voice was low, heavy with something close to regret. Ralvek, you shouldn't have done that. The final warning. Ralvek stood his ground. So it's true then? You knew. You all knew. Orvis sighed. Yes. We knew. Soren's hands curled into fists. And you said nothing? You let civilizations die? Orvis closed his eyes for a moment. Because there is nothing we can do. Silence. What is it? Orvis's expression darkened. Not what, he said. Who? The prison beneath Earth. Ralvek's breath caught. Orvis continued. A long time ago, before any of us, before even the oldest empires, there was something else. Something powerful. Something unstoppable. Vena whispered. A god? Orvis shook his head. No. Worse. Ralvik's skin went cold. A ruler, Orvis said. One who controlled the entire galaxy. One who could not be defeated. So the ancients did the only thing they could. Soren swallowed. They buried it. Orvis nodded. They turned Earth into a prison. And the humans. They were never supposed to exist. They were an accident. A species that evolved on top of the tomb. Ralvik's stomach twisted. And now, Orvis said, his voice grim, it is waking up. The last chance the transmission ended. Ralvik turned to his crew. No one spoke. They had their answer. But they didn't have a solution. Soren whispered, What do we do? Ralvik stared at the screen, his mind racing. Then he answered, We stop it. Vena's eyes widened. But how? Ralvik exhaled. I don't know, he admitted. But if the council won't act, then we have to. Silence. Then Soren grinned. Well, he said, cracking his knuckles. I always wanted to fight a god. Ralvik smirked. Then let's wake it up the right way. They had started this dot, now they would finish it. Even if it meant facing the worst nightmare the galaxy had ever seen.